Welcome in everybody to another week of First Seed Fantasy, and it's draft season. So you know what we've got on the docket again this week. It's another mock draft where it's going to be a 12 team, 12 round, 3 wide receiver PPR mock draft. But before we get into that, I got to give a shout out to our friends at Rival Fantasy. This season is going to be huge for Rival, and basically what it is you hop in, you deposit some cash. Actually, if you use code first seed, you get a deposit match up to 200. So you put in 200 bucks, you use our code, you get an extra $200 and a free $25 voucher. But what is Rival Fantasy? It is just another way to play some fantasy. For example, I'm looking at tonight's preseason game, and basically challenges is what it is a who's going to score more fantasy points, Steven Sims or Shy Smith. Basically, that's a preseason game, so it's still a little tricky on who's really going to make some fantasy points. But I can guarantee you, as the season comes closer, we'll have some super relevant names up here that Zach and I and Mike will be able to give you some recommendations on what our picks are for this upcoming week. So, for example, I think Steven Sims is going to score more fantasy points. And with code First Seed, you use our $25 free bet voucher. You can put that 25 on that. Boom, bam, you make your pick. But for example, the MLB season's hot right now. So Spencer Strider or Garrett Cole tonight, who's going to score more fantasy points? That's one example. The other part is they also have fantasy bingo. That is, you basically create a DFS style lineup. You make your pick of just a roster of fantasy players. And then you're given bingo boards. You buy a bingo board for $1, and what happens is you get challenges that are like squares pretty much, where it's like scores 3 touchdowns, and that could be the quarterback, that could be the running back. Somebody scores 3 touchdowns, somebody has 50 rushing yards. You basically get these squares of things that can happen with your roster. You get those squares, you can win some money. So like right now, the prize pool for the week 3 preseason game is $53. 75% of that prize pool goes towards, if you get all 25 of your tiles, 15% of that is with any vertical, horizontal, or diagonal bingo, and 10% goes to Four Corners postcard pretty much. But that's fantasy bingo. We're going to have a lot of rival content coming in as the NFL season really approaches week 1. So look forward to week 1 picks, but let's get into this mock. Again, 12 team, PPR, 3 wide receiver, and we're mocking on Rival. So feel free, create an account, deposit some cash, get an extra bonus if you use our code, and jump in some mocks. This isn't for money. This is strictly just me mocking, taking advantage of their mock draft platform that they have on Rival. So let me hit start. I am drafting from the 4th pick, 12 team, 12 rounds. Here we go. So immediately I'm pick 4. Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase go right before me, 1, 2, 3. And to me, this is an easy decision. I feel like I personally have a top 4 here in just fantasy football. And it is Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, and Mr. Austin Eckler. I feel like that man is a fantasy just point creator. I feel like he's on the field and fantasy points just come his way. So Eckler is my 4th overall pick. To me, that is an easy choice. I love him. I also really like Kelsey, Hill, Cup. I think last time I did a solo mock, I kind of went over that is a solid top 7. Love all of those guys. And I'm back here. 2 quarterbacks went. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes went right before it came back to me. We saw 2 teams go wide receiver, and a team go running back. And I'm sitting here with 1 running back in a 3 wide receiver team league, and I'm inclined to want to go wide receiver here. And I'm eyeing 2 guys here, really, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave. And just because I don't think Olave is going to make it back to me in the 3rd, and Olave is who I kind of want more in priority than Waddle or Smith, I'm going to go Olave. So I'm starting this team with Austin Eckler and Chris Olave. I love that. I'm a huge fan of that. I think Olave's in for a huge season. And look at that. Jalen Waddle, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Ramondre Stevenson, and Jonathan Taylor went before it came back to me. And I was really hoping Jonathan Taylor would make it. But since he did not, I'm looking here. I'm eyeing two guys here. Two guys that I really like. T. Higgins. Love that man. And Mark Andrews. Good old Mandrews. I'm going to go Mandrews. And I'll kind of discuss it as it swings back. I think Andrews was on pace for a huge season last year before he got hurt and before Lamar got hurt. And then now you just enter 2023 and you've got both of them healthy. Give me that upside. Give me the one tight end who was a tight end one before Kelsey went on his 40-year tear. I think Andrews. It's Andrews and it's Kelsey and then it's who else, you know. So I love Andrews. I love the consistency. I love having that tight end just glue magnet on my roster. I don't have to worry about the dang position because tight end kills me every year. Give me Mark Andrews. All right, and it's back to me. Back to me in the fourth. So I've got a running back, wide receiver, tight end. Not too shabby. I really like that. And if I didn't go tight end, if I had taken wide receiver or running back with that third pick, I'd probably be looking at Justin Herbert, but I'm not a huge fan of going taking the two onesie positions, tight end and a QB, before kind of doubling up and running back, wide receiver, especially 3 wide receiver. I'm kind of hurting here, I feel. Immediately, I'm looking at wide receiver. I see Hopkins, McLaurin. I like the injury recently where he's still kind of questionable week 1. I think he'll play. I'm not too worried about it. And Judy down here with his injury where he's also questionable for week 1 worries me a little bit. I like Hopkins. The passing volume in Tennessee worries me. And because I'm questionable about a chunk of these guys, I'm going to wait. I'm going to take wide receiver in the 5th. I take it back what I said when I was looking at those. And because of that, the running back position doesn't scream a lot of excitement. All right, I lied to you guys. I'm taking Justin Herbert. Just because I feel like that grouping of running backs and wide receivers, I really much more like the later guys than I do the group that was right there. And rather than force my hand into a position, I'm going to snag the guy I like more out of that group of 10 guys. Basically, whoever wouldn't come back to me in the 5th. And this is what I was hoping for. So I took Herbert. And after me, Hopkins, Justin Fields, Terry McLaurin, Dameon Pierce, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy. And I see 2 guys immediately I'm interested in, and I think I'm going to take the wide receiver of the 2. So the first was Miles Sanders. I think he's in for a huge year in Carolina. I think just having I don't know. I'm excited for Miles Sanders. I see why people don't or are not at all excited for that man this year. But I am. I'm on the Miles Sanders bandwagon. But instead, I'm going to go Christian Watson. Give me the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. I feel like Jordan Love isn't going to have a huge year, but he's going to have a good year. Christian Watson showed some really good games towards the end of last season. And I feel like of the remaining wide receivers kind of here, I like him the most, and I'm really excited for the wide receivers that may make it back to me in the 6th. So I'm taking Watson, 3 wide receiver league. I feel like you can't really wait on wide receivers. I feel like you really hurt yourself if you just continue to wait on wide receiver in the 3 wide receiver league. So I'm not, and I'm taking Christian Watson. And it's back to me in the 6th. Let's see here. There was a good chunk of running backs that went, leaving the top running backs here. I'm going to wait on running back again, leaving Swift, Kamara, Javonte Williams, just chilling here, available. But I'm going to go wide receiver. This is what I wanted. I see Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans, 2 guys I am excited about this upcoming season. Mike Evans, has yet to have a bad season. And Deontay Johnson had a 0 touchdown season last year where all you can do is go up. That he had like a historically non-scoring season, which you don't do twice, is basically what I'm getting at. I'm going to take Deontay, but I like Mike Evans as well. I think you can really flip-flop between those two, and hopefully Mike Evans makes it back. Oh, he did. All right, let's check the running back room. This makes me want to not take Mike Evans because it gets a little shaky here-ish. It's where I kind of like stray away. All right, I'm going to take James Cook. I think James Cook, the hype pieces have been all James Cook all offseason for Buffalo. And the fact that they're not in the hunt for Jonathan Taylor currently makes me excited for James Cook and just tells me that they're invested in him. So, yeah, I'm taking James Cook as my RB2. Oh, I love that a lot, actually. And I'm loving this squad, guys. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, James Cook, and then my wide receivers being Chris Olave, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, and Mark Andrews at tight end. Whew. I love it. And yeah, a bunch of wide receivers went after me. Mike Evans went immediately after me. I knew he wasn't going to make it back. And I'm sitting here. I've got basically my roster built looking at flex and bench spot now moving forward. Let's see. We got 5 rounds left. Let's see here. Immediately, my eye goes to Gabe Davis. I like him. I like Buffalo this year. I'm going to continue to love Buffalo. And I feel like, again, Gabe Davis, hype after hype after hype this offseason. And I don't see why they wouldn't draft him. It's one of those things, or I guess why they wouldn't use him. It's one of those things where, like, Gabe Davis was drafted so early last year that everybody's just like, oh, I'm burnt on Gabe Davis. But now he's being drafted where he performed last year and people are not excited about it. I'm taking Gabe Davis. Yeah, heck yeah. Give me Gabe Davis for my flex. Then it went Pat Freiermuth, Antonio Gibson, Treylon Burks, Brian Robinson, Michael Thomas, and Team 3 doubled up on tight end. Good for them. That's a great duo too. I'm not a fan of going 2 tight ends, but if there is 2 to go 2 tight ends, it's the top those 2, I guess. And I'm back on the clock. Let's see, pick 9th round. I'm gonna take Samaje Perine. I think just look at the running backs remaining. I feel like Perine's gonna have a really good role early this season. And Sean Payton has said nothing but positive things about him. Went out and got him in free agency. Give me Perine. And then after me, Jamal, Kirk Cousins, Juju, Zach Charbonnet, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Odell, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Penny, Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, Tavon A-Chain, Geno, Jerick McKinnon, Anthony Richardson. That's a great 2 QBs. Kirk and Anthony Richardson. I love it. Way to go, Team 6. Again, I could rant here about going 2 QB in a 1 QB league. Know your league. If the rest of your league mates are going to go 2 QB, you probably should too, because that waiver wire is going to be barren. But I'm on the clock, and I'm going to take – all right, I've got 2 guys on mine, Sky Moore and Elijah Mitchell. Not Elijah Moore. Sky Moore, some puff pieces about him in the I say puff, solid hype pieces about him throughout the offseason, throughout camp. There's got to be a wide receiver 1 in Kansas City someday. And Sky Moore has shown flashes that it could be him. Other guy, Elijah Mitchell. This is more of a, let's see, more of a security blanket. I know I don't have Christian McCaffrey, but McCaffrey has previously been injured, and Elijah Mitchell knows the San Francisco offense. So it's one of those. I guess this is a handcuff situation, but also Elijah could be just as involved any given week. And give me the ceiling of Mitchell. I'm going to take him as my second bench spot. And then after me went Dalton Schultz, Sky Moore, Damian Harris, Alan Lazard, Adam Thielen, Jared Goff. So now I've got my second to last pick here. And because it's 3 wide receiver, I am quite honestly going to plan to go wide receiver here to end this draft, because if you're starting 3 wide receivers, you're gonna have to have depth. So I'm just gonna click on this wide receiver tab, and I'm gonna reach. I'm gonna blatantly say I'm gonna reach, but I want Nico Collins. I'm not excited about Romeo Doubs. Could have a great year. He's gotten a lot of hype pieces about him as well. But I already have Christian Watson. I'm not a huge fan of double dipping into a wide receiving core. Bateman, I wanted Zay Flowers. I think he's going to be the wide receiver one. Jacoby Myers. I'm not huge on anybody on the Vegas receiving team except for Devontae Adams. I think that's going to be a mess and a lot of low volume going back there. And then Jameson Williams, I want somebody who's going to play week 1 or would prefer somebody that would play week 1. So I'm going to go Nico. I think he's going to have a great year. He's shown flashes of being really good these past 2 seasons. So 3rd-year breakout, give it to me. And now it comes back. It's making its way back. We had a few teams just making some last round tight end options being taken there. Tank Bigsby went right before me. Jalen Warren picked before. 2 of my favorite late round running back targets. They're in for big years. I'm going to take my favorite late round wide receiver target in Zay Jones. I think Jacksonville's offense is going to flourish this season. And I think Zay Jones has his rapport already with Trevor Lawrence. He may be the wide receiver 3 in Jacksonville. But in preseason games, he's been lining up on 2 wide receiver sets. So let's go Zay Jones. Fantastic late wide receiver target. And boom. That's the draft. Pretty quick, pretty easy, not too shabby, guys. So just running down the squad, I've got Austin Eckler, Chris Olave, Mark Andrews, Justin Herbert, Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, James Cook, Gabe Davis, Samaje Perine, Elijah Mitchell, Nico Collins, and Zay Jones for a 12-team, 3 wide receiver, PPR mock draft. Pretty banging to me. I'd be really happy with this team. If I had to change anything, I'd want a better wide receiver too. Probably could have gone Higgins over Andrews and then gotten a tight end a little bit later. Even Ridley I could have reached on. Love him this year. Happy with Olave. Super happy with Eckler. Boom. Well, there you have it. That was a short one. Not too shabby. Cool. Well, everybody that is watching, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. My home league draft is this weekend. It's kind of why I am solo. I think Mike is there currently, and Zach is actually coaching. So he's got a football game today. So go high school football. So that's why I'm solo this week. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to like, comment, tell me how bad this team is. Subscribe. Please be sure to subscribe. It helps more than you know. And you've probably heard that from everybody else you've watched on YouTube, but it really does help. And now I'm just rambling to finish this off. But thank you. Thank you for tuning in. It was a pleasure drafting. Always has been. Always will be. 2 weeks left until the season starts. How does that sound? Sounds damn good to me. But until then, until next week, thank you for tuning in.